Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Dutch Flatmates once again. They're a fantastic series that we really haven't paid enough attention to. Minmax Quads. So before coming into this particular puzzle, I actually was debating with myself quite a bit, thinking around, am I going to be posting another 2-star difficulty rated puzzle for a Sunday evening? Or given how many difficult puzzles I've posted recently. So one of the ones, for example, that caught me out was, I think, Killing Me Softly. I really thought it was a much more approachable puzzle. Admittedly, with my slightly dubious solve, it came across a lot easier to me than maybe some of you did. But in general, there's been just a lot of hard puzzles, so I was thinking maybe I shouldn't be doing this and I should be going with a 1-star difficulty rated one. But this particular puzzle just caught my eyes for a couple of reasons. 94% rating. It was 2 stars, and then it was downgraded to 1 star, so it's clearly on that edge where I guess is essentially what I'm looking for a Sunday evening puzzle. And it's with a rule set variant that I've never really quite seen before. So, a combination of all of the above, including the fact that we really should be playing a lot more Dutch flatmates. They've always been a lot of fun. That's what we're playing today. I should mention, of course, it looks like yet another Dutch canal. And I guess an homage to the Min-Max. You've got 4 characters in the background. Clearly a Max, someone who's very clearly quite tall, quite buff. And then you can see some kind of is it a kid, a scientist, someone really tiny and short. Last time we were actually in Holland. So I am 6'3", or 192 if you're metric centimeters. And on our holiday to Holland, I definitely felt distinctly average. So, in the UK, in China in particular, I wouldn't say I'm a giant, but I'm certainly taller than the vast majority of people. But in Holland, I was barely average. I don't want to say I was on the low side of average, but it definitely felt like I was nothing special. Anyhow, let's put all of that aside and take a look at today's particular puzzle and rule sets. So, Dutch Flatmates Minmax Quads by Sujoyku. And we've got the following set of rules. So don't mistake these as quad circles. They are a min-max quad. Rules-wise, we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and then every 3x3 box. Nothing unusual about this one. Dutch flatmates, you're going to remember, each 5 in the grid either has a 1 directly above it or a 9 directly below it. It can have both, but it doesn't need both. So let's make this concrete. If there is a 5 in this cell, I would either have to have a 1 above it, or I would have to have a 9 beneath it. I could have both. I could have only one of them. What I couldn't do is have neither. That doesn't work. The direction also matters, so a 1 beneath it and a 9 above it won't cut the mustard, so to speak. That is still breaking that particular rule set. Then we've got this particularly new variant, min-max quads. So digits in a circle must appear in one of the 4 surrounding cells, and either be the lowest or the highest digit in these 4 cells. So let's use, actually having a look around where it's not solving the puzzle. Let's go with this one. So this particular min-max quad circle is telling us that the digits 4 and 8 have to be in the surrounding 4 cells. So if I have something like 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't have a 4, I've broken it. So I clearly need to have a 4. The other thing that is also mentioning is that each of the digits that are listed is either the minimum digit in that 4 kind of cells that are surrounding it, or it's the maximum digit. So one thing I cannot do is actually stray outside of that range of 4 to 8. So if I put a 3 in here, I've broken it. There is one more thing that is in the rule. If there is no conflict with other rules, digits around a quad clue may repeat. In particular, the minimum and maximum may appear more than once. So I could do something like 4, 4, 8, and 7. That would be totally legitimate. I mean, for that matter, so would this, but I don't think that would be necessarily solvable. Right, that's all the rules we have for today. Really interesting combination of rules. Relatively sparse looking grid. Fingers crossed this will be relatively easy to solve for a Sunday evening. As always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to enjoy. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Right, so a couple of these are forced, which is why I was looking deliberately for ones that aren't. 2 to 5 means 2, 3, 4, and 5 all have to be exactly in this quad. No repeats, because they're in the same box. So it's exactly the case that 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in here. Now, to satisfy this 4 and 8 one, that means the 4 absolutely has to be in here. Can't put it in there where it would break the 2, 5. Am I going to do this? I think I'm going to have to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is essentially the full list of possible digits that's in here. I also know that these cannot be 4 or 5 because they're stuck in here. Okay. This one is also interesting. 5 and 7, 5, 6, 7. Essentially, I'm only allowed these 3 digits in this particular one. There's a lot of tension now starting to mount. Let me have a think about this. So 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's not quite a quintuple, but it's getting there. It really is. What else do we have? This is, I mean, again, we have got 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all the digits are allowed in here. Remember, this is not forced in the same way that this was forced, because they're in different boxes. So I could have a double 2, a 5, and a 4, for example. These are just too far apart. I don't think I'm going to pencil mark this. These feel a bit too far apart. Same in here. Are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they are. This one, 4, 5. I mean, it's the same as this one. Exactly the same, realistically. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I had a lovely nap for a Sunday. I'm sort of still clearly not quite awake. Let me point out the obvious now. When you actually combine it with the other variant, not just focus on the one rule, 5, 6, and 7. So when it comes to Dutch flatmates, 5 is a very, very special digit. Something about this particular variant is if you ever have a 5 in row 1, because the 1 that you need above it can't be in row 0, it doesn't exist, you'd have to have a 9 directly beneath it. So essentially, wherever 5 is in row 1, 9 is in row 2 directly beneath it. Actually, this is interesting because it means 5 cannot be in any of these cells. Sorry, cannot be in these cells. Where am I going with this? So can I put a 5 in these 2 cells? And the answer is no. I can't put a 9 beneath it, and there is no 1 above it. So this is actually a 6-7 pair, which removes 6-7 pair from here, gives me my first digit. Yeah, if it's, 3 minutes in, we're probably doing okay. So there's going to be definitely a 5 now in here, which means no 5 in there either. In fact, the fact that there is a 5 in here and no 9 down there, yeah, now I'm awake. There's definitely a 1 in here, there's definitely a 1 in here. Tempted to cross, to pencil mark across, and I actually will do that. That can't be a 5 because that can't be a 1, that's a 4. Five, 6, 7, 8. That's a quadruple. That has to be an 8. And then there's definitely a 5 in here. No 4s in these cells. I mean, I caught in a pencil marker and then just didn't do anything with it. Yeah, so the 5s that I removed here, it's not because there couldn't be a 9 underneath it, it's because of these 5s. Just for a second there, I thought I made a mistake, and no. 6 and 7, not in here in box 9. They're there, and that means that is 1 and 9. These are now known. They are now known, and therefore I should be able to write in. It looks like it's 2, 3, 5. Obviously, whichever one is the 5 has a 1 above it, but I'm not sure which one is the 1. Looking at the rest of this row, I'm essentially missing another 2, 3, 4, a 1 and a 9. Okay. Interesting. The fact that I can't put 5s in here because I can't put 9 in there is stuck in my mind a bit. So in fact, I'm actually going to do something a little bit odd. Excuse me, I'm going to actually color where I cannot put 5s in row 1. I can't put it here because I can't put 9. Same, exact logic. Neither of these two cells, because essentially I've got 5s in here and 5s in there, essentially lining up in columns 3 and 4. So if I put a 5 in here, I will break one of this quad. This is getting very interesting now. Now, if I put a 5 in any of these cells, I would have to have a 9, and I can't. So look at row 1. This was an incredibly useful kind of exercise. That does mean that has to be the 5, that has to be the 9. This has to be the 1, that's the 9. And therefore this is not a 1, that's a 1, that's a 5. Kind of very unexpected combo there. So digits that are not in this quad were essentially 1, 2, and 9. I've placed one of the 9s. The 1, you can see now, just Sudoku, can only be in here, which means 1 is in there, which means 1 is in there. Fantastic. 2 is in one of these two cells. That's about as far as I could do, but I can remove a 2 from one of them. I mean, from this group. 2 is definitely in here, which is... now, for a second, I was going to do something silly. No, I can do something silly. It's not that silly. I was going to remove this 5 and say, well, these two cells can't be 1, which is true. But obviously, these two cells could be 9. But look at the other side of it. These two cells can't be 5 because these two cells cannot be 1. The 1 in this cell has to be contained, the 1 in this box, in box 1, has to be in one of these quads, and the 1 in box 2 has to be in one of these. So neither of these could be 1. These can't be 9. These are not 5s. Which means that one of these two cells, I'm really going to get in trouble with this corner pencil marking across boxes, but it means because the 5 is down here and they don't have a 1 above it, one of these two cells has to be a 9. You'd be very tempted, of course, to make this the 9 given this quad. I don't think I should make that assumption. Yeah, I can't resolve this one. Let's think about this. 1 is none of these cells. 1 is none of these cells. 1 is in here. That's not a 1. That's a 1. So box, whatever it was, 7. Now Sudoku says 1 is none of these cells. That's the only place for a 1. That's not a 1. That's the 5. This feels like it's magic as it's unwinding. So that becomes the 5. This has to become the 9. The 9 now has to be in one of these two cells because they can't be in here. Just, again, Sudoku. No 5s in here. I don't actually have to have a 5 in this group. And certainly this can't be a 5. That can't be a 9 and that can't be a 1. So that's not a 5. These are very difficult things to see because of the amount of pencil marking that I've done. But you can't really blame me if you've watched my Saturday evening puzzle. I definitely feel like I should be over pencil marking. 5, 5. Where's the 5 in box 8? That's the only place for it. That's 2, 3 pair. That means this has to be a 1, yeah. These three cells are now known. They are 2, 3, and 9, I'm going to say. Which means that's not a 9 because obviously of this 9. 2, 3, and 9, and not quite. So 6 and 7, there's another 6, 7 in here with a definite 8. I don't have a 4 because I've actually got a quadruple of 2, 3, 4, 9. So no 4s. Then essentially in here, I have 9 with another 6, 7. That makes sense. Do I? No. 6, 7 pair. So it's 2, 3, or 4. It's got to be a 4. I'm not awake. I lied earlier when I said I am awake. No 4s is a 4. That's better. And this is 2, 3, 9. That's looking much better. Yeah, it can still be a 5. Half tempted to do what I did earlier, by the way. Oh, that 1 here means that's not a 1, that's a 1. Which also means 1 is in one of these two cells, just classic Sudoku. And it can only be this one. That's not a 1, that's the 1. That can't be 5 anymore because that's not 9 and that's not 1. Where I was going, the statement I was about to make before I just distracted myself, I think that's all the 1s. I just distract myself again before I finish my sentence. I believe I did. I'm half tempted to actually do what I did with row 1, which is color all the locations that cannot be 5s. It was shockingly useful. So, 5 is in one of these two cells. We know that. In this box now, you see 5 can't be in here because I can't put 9 beneath it or 1 above it. 5 cannot be in here because it's 1 beneath it and no 1 above it, of course. So none of these are 5. 5's in one of these 3 cells. Not brilliant. Then 5 is none of these cells, just Sudoku. I can't put a 5 in here. That's 9, not 9 beneath it, and 1 can't go above it, so it's not here. It could be here, because I can put a 9 there, and it certainly could be here. So it's one of these two cells. You can see now the 5s are lining up as such. Actually, hang on, this cannot be a 5. And therefore, there's no 5s in here. There's a definite 5 in there. And whatever the 5 is, it would actually have to have a 9 beneath it because there's no 1 here. I'm kind of half tempted to say I've probably got all the value for money, so to speak, out of the Dutch flatmates. Obviously, other than when resolving, where it actually forces things like 5 and then directly a 9 beneath it. So I'm kind of back to, getting value for money from the quads, such as, where does 7, 8, and 9 go in box 1? Well, they're not in here. They're not there. They can only be in these 3 cells. Nine is not here. 9 can't be at the bottom. 9 has to be in fact, no, I was going to say 8 as well. That's not true. I can hide the 8. No, I can't. 8 has to be in there. So no 8, because this is limited to between 1 and 7. It says 8, 9. Which makes me have a 7 in here, a 6 down there, a 7 in here, a 6 there. Finally unwinding this 6, 7, 8 shenanigan. 7, 8 pair has almost like 0 influence on what's going on at the top, other than the fact that I have to have a 4, which removes 4 from here. We can try the same trick again. Where is 7 and 8 now in this box? Well, 7 is not here. 7 is in these 2 cells. 7 is none of these. Still quite a few places for it. 7 is none of these. Again, still quite a few places for it. This is not as interesting. The fact that this is 8, 9 pair frustratingly means that the 5 could be in either one of them. Let me think about this. Yeah, true for both statements. These could still be both 5s. That 5 under the 1, that 5 with the 9 beneath it. And the same for these two. That's fine, and that's 5 with a 9 here. In fact, there's a very high chance that is exactly 9. Sudoku says none of these are 9s. That is definitely a 9, leaving both of these as easy, legitimate targets. Right, we're going to have to do like proper Sudoku now. Not that I was doing improper one, but you know what I mean. It feels like I'm almost messing around, being very opportunistic, and maybe what I should do is just pencil mark a bit more diligently. It's just too many options. Other than this not being 2 or 6. I mean, yeah, it could be actually, it's a lot more restricted than I thought. Because it's not 2, 3. Sorry, it's not 2. It could be 3, 4. It's not 5. Can't be 6. It needs to be in the quad. It's not 7. 8 is available in 9. So it's more restricted than I thought. 9s, of course, are lining up in columns 1 and 2. That's not a 9. That is a 9. That means that can't be a 5 because there is no 1 above it and no 9 beneath it. So that is the 5. That's not a 5. That's the 5. Doesn't force a 9, unfortunately, beneath it. But that 5 probably gave me, yep, that's given me, I'm going to say this is the last 5. Well, there's one here that's missing. This is it, and this is a 9 because there was no 1 above it. And yes, that is all 9 5s done, and they all have a 1 or a 9 next to them. Yes. Right, definitely the Dutch flatmate part is done, so we've got to think about other things, such as 8 is not here, this is 8, and then immediately pencils mark 7. These cells then are, well, where does 2 go in this column? This is the only place for it because I can't put it in here. And therefore this is 3 and 4. Gives me 2, 3, 4 triple. So they lose 2 digits because essentially we need a partner with the 8 and then a partner with the 2. And they are 6 and 7. And I honestly can't seem to restrict them to anything. Yep, nothing. No 2s, only place for a 2 in box 5. Means there is a 6 in here. No 6s, not very useful. No 6s, also not very useful. No 6s, still not useful. I mean, getting there, but still not useful. 6 is in one of these 2 cells, so just removes a possible 6 in here. Places a 6 in one of these 2 cells, which is not very useful again. I need a 2 in here. 2 is in one of these 2 cells. I could still have 2 in there, can't I, with 2 and 6. Okay. Have I done all the 9s? 9 can't be here. This is a 9. And then I think this is all the 9s I can do other than that X-Wing. 4 has to be in here. 8 has to be one of these 2 cells. So essentially there is another 2, 3, 4 with an 8. I didn't mean to say 2, 3, 4 because the 4 has to be in here. So it's another 2, 3, 8. That can't be 2. This seems like it can be like anything. It's a party. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this could be anything again. Come on, Sleuth. Right, so the other digit that I haven't thought about. Yeah. Come on, wake up, wake up. Where is 8 in box 2? That's the only place for it. That is not an 8. That is an 8. I said this is 6 or 7. It's not 7, it's 6, which removes this 6, adds a 6 in here. This is now a 2-7 pair. And to complete the row, I need another 3, 4, and a 6. And seemingly I can't resolve. And this is the only thing I get, is that's not a 4. That gives me a 3, 6 pair. So this is 7 and 2. Only place for a 2 is in here. That's a 7. And this is 3 or 4. Am I right in thinking there's only one place for a 2 now? Down here in column 1. Looks that way for sure. So that's 2, that's 3. Not that was useful at all. So you have another 2, 3, 7, and I'm going to say a 6. Remember something about 6s? Yes, not 6. No, hang on, I've got 6. 2, 3, 7, and come on, 4. Not very useful. And this was, again, a party. That 2 gave me 3, gave me 2. So this is 3. So essentially, this 6 is joined by 1 or 3 or 4. And this is, can't be an 8 anymore. So this is the 8. This is not an 8. I think in column 3 now, there's only one place for an 8, which is this cell. No 8s in here. Just going to clean this up a bit. I had to have a 4, so that's the 3. Therefore, that's 6, that's 4. Right, I think we are pretty much there now at this point. And yeah, I was right to remove the 2, even though it was a typo. Just going to tidy up all of these pencil marks. I'm just going to keep making mistakes otherwise if I just ignore them for too long. So I needed a 2 in here. That can't be the 2, so yeah, that's a 2. And then all of these new digits surely helps me resolve whatever's going on in here. So this is 4, 6, or 7. It's not 4 or 6. That's 7. That's 4. That's 6. That's 8. That's 7. That 4 gave me 9 and 4 and 9 and 8. And I think we're on the home stretch now. That's got to be a 7, 2, 7, 3, 2. Right, what am I missing? 3 could only be in here. 4, 6, and if I've not made any mistakes, 8 for the finish. It's a phenomenal puzzle, Sujoyku. Absolutely phenomenal puzzle. Yeah, I would agree with the fact that it was, because when I first loaded that tab, it was 2 stars, I'm going to say. And then when I refreshed it just as I was recording, it was actually 1 star. So I would agree with the downgrade on difficulty. But at the same time, like I think if you don't start using Dutch flatmate logic, and if you're not that familiar with the variant where you're starting to actually mark out, like that 5, for example, that was, for me, was actually accidental. It was inspired, if that's intended as part of the solution path. Because, I was purely thinking about it. I can't even remember why I was looking at this 1, 7 and I realized these can't be 5. Anyhow, what a fantastic puzzle. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. It's a good way to wrap up the weekend. And see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.